What up, everybody? It's your girl July from Kickback Couture. Today, I'm gonna show you how to mix your kick and 808 sound selection mostly, but we're gonna go through all that. All right, let's get it. Alright, we're gonna jump straight into it. I do wanna get y'all's feedback. Let me know how my vocals sound in this video. I'm trying out a new signal chain so I can get a cleaner sound. Just let me know in the comments how it sounds. But let's just jump into this tutorial. So I want to show y'all how to mix your kick and 808s together. So let's start with example 1. So this is the 808 by itself. This is the kick by itself. And together, now these go well together for the most part, but if you listen to it, we have a problem here. The problem is that the 808 has a pretty hard attack. It pretty much has a kick in it already, so like that initial attack is really hard and it could clash with the kick we have here. So many times, most times, the problem you'll have with your 808 and kick is that the sustain of your kick will be too long or the attack of the 808 will be too hard. So in this case, the attack of our 808 is too hard. So there's 2 ways we could fix this. Honestly, multiple ways, but there's 2 ways that you could fix it quickly without much thinking. Just pull up the attack on the 808. So let's listen to these together and listen to it as I pull up the attack. The pulling up this attack is going to bring down that initial transient, that kick sound that's hitting in the 808. Now they both have their own space to operate. You can hear that kick punching through clearly. Before it was like this. Now another way to do this would be to sidechain it. And it's really similar in that you're making the 808 duck with the kick, but you can do it more in rhythm, I guess. They're very similar. Either way, you're making the 808 duck. Whereas here, you're just shaving it off so it never plays. If, for example, your 808 and your kick are playing different patterns, this would come in handy to sidechain them. So we'll flip to the back of the rack. We'll take this parallel out of the kick and put it into the sidechain dynamics of the 808. Another way to do this, if you don't have your kick and 808 right next to each other, is to just right click and find the right channel. So right now I'm looking for the spins 808 sidechain input. Whoops. Just like that. And then we go up to the mixer. And we're looking at these 2 channels here. It's going to be under the dynamic section right here. So we'll turn that compressor on. So this is with no sidechain compression. So with the ratio all the way up and the threshold all the way down, you can hear it ducking pretty crazy. So if that's what you like to do, good luck. Otherwise, I would say start with a pretty low ratio depending on how loud your 808 is. It should be fine, and your kick as well. And then play with the ratio. Now, after you get it ducking in volume as much as you want it to duck or turn down, then you want to mess with the release. You got to tweak the release. So it's good to tweak the release to the tempo. You want it to duck on beat, because if it's offbeat, it'll sound weird. So I'm going to turn on the metronome and let's listen to it. Now that right there is a really fast release and it's not on beat. So what it was at before, the default value was pretty good, but let's bring it up until it sounds good again. So anywhere between this range right here sounds pretty good to me. So it is all preference based. Do you want your 808 to snap back quicker, or do you want it to take longer to get back to its original volume? Completely up to you. So that's how you sidechain. Let's move on to the next example. Alright, now here we have a very similar problem to what we had before. This 808 has a very strong attack. In fact, you probably shouldn't even be using a kick with this 808. So that's the kick and the 808s by themselves. Now, if you really wanted to use a kick with this 808, which I would suggest not, just mix it in terms of this is the kick and the 808. Like if it helps you, think of it as the kick and the 808 bust together. Like they're already set, the volume is already set for you. Now you need to level the other parts of your beat with the kick and 808, which is really just the 808, but it has that hard transient in it. So basically it's both. So in order to mix this, if you really wanted to mix it, bring up the attack, get rid of that initial transient. And if you don't like to put your kicks in something like this, like grain or any kind of sampler that has an attack on it, you can use a transient shaper to do it. Now, what sucks about this now is that we got rid of the attack on the 808 and they have completely different patterns. And I was kind of talking about this earlier with the first example. If your kick and 808 have separate patterns, then you might just want to go ahead and sidechain it so that that 808 only ducks when the kick is coming through. So what I'll do is bring this attack down and we'll sidechain it just as we did with the first example. Gonna take this parallel from the kick and send it to the correct 808, which is the Dior 808. All of these samples are available on Splice. And let's hop into the mixer. Oops, F6. All right, and then we have this section here, so we'll turn it on and let's go ahead and get this sidechain. And I'll also collapse these menus so y'all can see the volume better. Now, honestly, with this example, you'll notice that they still don't mesh. It just doesn't sound right at all. So when this happens to you, you need to choose a different kick. If you really want to use that kick, pick a different kick and save your life and save your engineer's life if you're not mixing. All right, I'm going to turn that compressor off and we're going to let's go through the Reason factory sounds and find a better kick that'll match with this 808 right here. Browser. Drum supply. Bass drums. And let's go through these kicks. This one actually sounds pretty good. There's not much low end on it, and there's a quick attack. This one, bad, terrible example. It's an 808. It's not really a kick. Now given that a kick and an 808 are very similar because they are basically the same thing, but a kick is a short version of an 808 if you think about it. So Basil or Arlene would work fine. These other ones are too long of kick samples to mesh with the 808. It's like trying to put two 808s together. You don't want to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and drag in this Arene. Now, hopefully you understand. This kick is like baby thin, which means you probably don't need a kick anyways. And if you do want to keep the kick, just don't have it hitting at the same time as the 808. So an easy way to fix this would be to go into the sequencer and erase where the kicks are hitting at the same part. That is the real trick to fixing this. Check your sample selection, check your pattern, and sidechain if needed. Let's hear this. Alright, we'll get rid of that one. Get rid of those two. Alright, looks like we got spots for 3 kicks. And we'll turn it up some. Now, in the case if you wanted to use a little more thumpier kick, you could do that and sidechain it after that. But just don't use 2 sounds with crazy attacks because they will not mesh together at all, okay? Alright, here's a thumpier kick, and this is coming from the Basquiat kick from Splice. Go grab it. See how much better that sounds now that they're not both playing at the same time, and you kind of got it bouncing in different spots so it's not interfering with the kick. All right, let's move on to example 3. Once again, this 808's attack is going crazy, and so is the kick. We can't have that. So let's listen to this 808 by itself. And let's listen to this kick by itself. Gonna bring up the attack on this 808. Now that fits much better. As I said with the previous example, if you don't like shaving off that 808 and you still like that attack, and your kick and your 808 are playing different patterns, then sidechaining is going to be the answer for you. Alright, let's go ahead and sidechain this example as well. Flipping over to the back of the rack, and hopefully this repetition is helping you so you know how to set this up. We're going to go from parallel of the kick, or if you want to do it backwards, you'll take the sidechain input of the 808 and you'll grab that kick. Follow the name, mix channel, parallel out. Flip it back over and we'll go into the mixer. No disrespect to anybody's accent. I think that wasn't even a good accent, so don't come for me. Alright, compressor on. And let's make sure I turned off that attack raise, attack, rise, attack, turn down, attenuation. Now, in this case, I would still shave the attack of that 808 a little bit. As we can see, they're playing at different times, and that could throw the beat off a lot. So we'll just raise it just a tad, so just the initial is cut off. Alright, cool. That's better. The next thing to do would be to match it with the tempo of your track and make sure it sounds good when it's bouncing up and down and ducking. Alright, let's listen to that. Alright, cool. Now, not gonna lie, this one's pretty hard to tell because that 808 is really busy and it's bouncing up and down a lot. So it's okay if it's bouncy and you can't really hear a difference in what's going on with the ducking, then most likely you'll be good. As for the sidechaining process, I don't always turn down my threshold all the way, but it is an easy step for those of you who are just now learning how to use a compressor and how to sidechain. Turn down the threshold all the way and then mess with the ratio if you just don't get it at all. All right. Now that is it for this tutorial. If you would like to learn some nice, spicy, saucy 808 tricks, go ahead and check out the video I have on the end screen for 808 tricks, and I'll also go ahead and throw in that reverse Roddy Ricch 808 trick video as well. Alright, it's all Couture, Kickback, and Cook Up. Signing off.